In the bathroom, Henry was rubbing a thin piece of cloth in his hands. The foam on his fair and slender fingertips was especially eye-catching. My throat tightened, and I directly reached out and snatched it from him. "What are you doing?" Henry looked up at me. "Didn't you scratch your hand? I'll help you wash the clothes." The cloth that he had carefully scrubbed in my hand was like a hot potato. A sense of shame welled up in me, and I whispered, "Don't do this again in the future. I feel very uncomfortable." "What's the big deal?" Henry looked innocent. "Isn't this what good brothers should do?" I was stunned when I heard this and doubted myself. Really? Was I just making a fuss? Are the relationships between roommates in the city so close? They eat each other's leftovers without any disgust. When playing games, they hold their roommates on their laps. They even help wash each other's underwear, which is such a personal item. Suddenly, the picture of one night popped into my mind when Henry's bed was soaked, and he insisted on squeezing into my bed with me and hugging my waist and calling me, "Baby." Is this also something that brothers do? After leaving the bathroom, I couldn't help taking out my phone and seeking help from netizens on Douyin. My roommate always hugs me to sleep at night, and he just washed my underwear for me. Is this normal? Soon after I posted it, the comment section was flooded. I couldn't help replying under the top-rated comment. "Both of us are straight guys." Soon there was a long list of comments below. "I don't believe it. Only the bedboards in the boys' dormitory are straight." I exited the app and couldn't help sighing. What should I do? It's even more confusing. I threw the phone to one side and got up to take down the sheets drying on the balcony. Henry is always so clumsy. He even spills water on the sheets when drinking. The key is that this isn't the first or second time this has happened. Once the sheets get wet, he insists on squeezing into my bed with me at night. How can someone be so forgetful? I shook my head and made the bed for him with the dried sheets. There were wrinkles in it, so I had to kneel beside the bed and reach out to smooth it out. Done. He helps me wash clothes, and I help him make the bed. Now I don't owe him anything. I stepped back satisfactorily, but suddenly a big hand pressed on my waist. I turned my head in a daze and suddenly met Henry's dark eyes. My heart skipped a beat for no reason. "What's wrong?" I stammered. Henry's fingertips gently rubbed against my lower back. The slightly cool touch made me shiver. I panicked and grabbed his hand, then rolled over directly. "What are you doing?" His Adam's apple bobbed slightly and his voice became a bit hoarse. "Dimples of Venus." "What?" He repeated in a low voice. "You have 2 dimples of Venus on your back. And then, they're exactly the right size to fit my fingertips." He murmured in a low voice, staring straight at me. "He's so strange." I replied perfunctorily, "Oh, I've never even noticed." "Well, I've made the bed for you. You can sleep here tonight." I smoothed out the wrinkles at the edge and didn't forget to remind him, "Be more careful not to wet the sheets again in the future." Henry's eyes flickered. He said on his own, "I'll sleep with you tonight." I almost bit my tongue when I heard that and refused. "No way." "Why not? Don't you like sleeping with me?" "What the hell? What does this have to do with whether I like it or not? You have your own bed. Why do you have to squeeze in with me?" Remembering the comments from netizens, I hesitated for a moment and then said, "I think it's better for us to keep some distance." Henry's face changed slightly and his voice tightened a bit. "Did someone say something to you?" I shook my head. "Then do you hate me?" "No." I hesitated for a long time and then replied, "We're both guys. If we stick together all day, I think it's a bit." My words got stuck and I racked my brains to think of an appropriate word to describe it. Henry forced a smile at the corner of his lips. "I understand. I'm used to joking around with my friends before, and sometimes I cross the line." His eyes drooped slightly and the shadow cast by his eyelashes covered his eyelids. "Sorry for making you uncomfortable." I looked at him awkwardly. "Actually, it's not that serious." Henry said calmly with a straight face, "Don't worry. I'll try to control myself from now on." At 9:30 in the evening, there was finally some movement in the quiet dormitory. The tension in my heart relaxed. Before the other 2 roommates came back, I almost thought I was going to suffocate in this dormitory filled with a suffocating atmosphere. Henry's bed was on the lower bunk opposite mine. If it weren't for the curtain on my bed just now, I would have been extremely embarrassed. I kind of regretted saying those words just now. I wonder if Henry is angry. "Michael, do you want to have barbecue?" James, who came back from outside, lifted the curtain and asked. "You guys can have it. I just brushed my teeth." I replied in a low voice. James nodded and then turned to ask Henry, There was no response from that side for a long time. Is Henry going to sleep so early tonight? He murmured to himself and then softened his movements. I turned my head and looked at the figure lying on their back not far away, then silently withdrew my gaze. When I woke up the next day, I groggily planned to get out of bed to relieve myself. Just as I was about to step into the bathroom, I bumped head on into a solid wall of flesh. I let out a muffled grunt, looked up and saw clearly the person in front of me, and the sleepiness instantly vanished. I gave an awkward smile and said, "Good morning." Henry looked down at me and parted his lips to say, "Good morning." In front of the sink, I let out a sigh as I looked at myself in the mirror with dark circles under my eyes. It seemed that I didn't quite know how to get along with him anymore. I always felt uncomfortable everywhere. I irritably ruffled my own hair. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, there was a campus basketball game. In the close, scored game, Henry scored a beautiful three-pointer to secure the final victory. "Nice one, Henry." The teammates stepped forward one after another to high five and shoulder bump to celebrate. I subconsciously looked at him. In the past, whenever Henry won a basketball game, he would rush towards me immediately, put his arm around my shoulder, and raise his eyebrows smugly, saying, "Was that shot of mine just now awesome?" Through the crowd, my eyes met those familiar eyes. My heart started beating strangely fast. I subconsciously held my breath only to see those eyes shift indifferently from my face the next second. Looking at Henry in the crowd, laughing and joking while putting his arm around his teammate's neck, I was in a daze for a moment and then silently averted my eyes. Sure enough, he treated me no differently from others. I should have known better than to be so self-indulgent last night. I actually misinterpreted Henry's feelings towards me. I lowered my head and wiped the sweat from my neck with a towel. My chest felt a bit stuffy. Whenever I think of that embarrassing scene last night, I just want to beat myself up for being such a fool at that time. "Hey, classmate." A tall guy with a crew cut walked over. He's from the neighboring team. "What's up?" He smiled and said, "My name is Daniel. I'm a junior majoring in mechanical engineering. I just watched you play basketball really well. Can we be friends?" Looking at the hand he stretched out, I shook it and replied, "I'm Michael, a sophomore majoring in digital media." "So you're my junior?" Daniel casually put his arm around my shoulder. "How about having dinner together tonight?" Just after the basketball game, everyone smelled really bad with sweat, and I really didn't like the sticky skin contact. I silently stepped aside to avoid him. "No, thanks, senior. I have to work part-time tonight." Hearing this, he slightly raised his eyebrows and looked at me. "Coincidentally, I have a job referral. A friend of mine opened a pub near the school and they're short-staffed. The pay is quite good. Do you want to go and have a look, junior?" Thinking that I still needed some money for next semester's tuition, I hesitated for a moment and then nodded. Daniel smiled with a curve of his lips. "Come on, let's add each other online. Whenever you're free, I'll just take you there." I added his contact information and sincerely said, "Thank you, senior. We're all classmates. No need to be so polite." Someone called him from afar. Daniel waved his phone and had a smile on his lips. "Junior, I'll be waiting for your message." Watching Daniel's back as he left, I was holding my phone and about to leave when a tall figure directly blocked my way behind. I looked up in surprise and met a gloomy face. "Henry. Who is he?" I paused and then realized who he was asking about. A senior from the mechanical engineering department. Henry's tense face relaxed a bit and he snorted softly. "He doesn't look like a good guy. Since when did he know how to judge people by their looks?" Henry frowned and said, "Look at how familiar he acts right away. He must have ulterior motives. Did he just add your contact information?" I nodded. Henry's face darkened and he gritted his teeth and said, "I knew it. That guy has no good intentions. You're overthinking it. The senior just introduced a new part-time job to me. He who offers kindness for no reason must have an axe to grind. But you were also like this to me at first. Could it be that you also had ulterior motives?" Henry's face froze. He stammered, "What? We weren't very familiar in high school. Why were you so nice to me when we entered college as freshmen?" His pupils shrank slightly and he whispered, "After all, we're all alumni, so I just subconsciously took care of you." My heart ached a bit, but my voice remained calm. "Just because of that? All right." I took a step back. "I won't talk to you anymore. It's almost time for my part-time job." Leaving this sentence behind, I rushed away before he could respond. The moment I turned my back to him, all the fake expressions on my face collapsed. What was I still expecting? He likes girls. I confirmed that back in senior year of high school. "Michael, when Henry comes back, let's go out for a late-night snack together?" Hudson put his arm around my shoulder and sighed. "It's been a long time since our dorm had a get-together." "I won't go." A senior introduced me a part-time job. I'm going to check it out later. What kind of part-time job? A waiter in a lounge bar. The lounge bar on Southeast Road? Yes. Hudson nodded. All right. When will you be back? We'll pack some barbecue for you then. It's okay. You guys can eat. At the dormitory building, Daniel was already waiting by the roadside. I walked quickly towards him. Senior, actually, I can go there by myself. You don't have to come here. Daniel stared at me with his dark eyes and smiled. It's okay. I just have some free time. When we arrived at the lounge bar, Daniel led me to introduce me to the boss. We talked about the job content, working hours, and salary. There was no problem, so I confirmed the job. Everything went quite smoothly. Only about half an hour had passed. I thanked Daniel again and was about to go back to school when Daniel grabbed my arm. Since you're here, why not have a drink together? I owed him a favor for this. I couldn't refuse, so I had to nod. What would you like to drink, senior? Daniel leaned over towards me and his fingertips landed on the wine list. Demerara white rum. A strange scent wafted by my ear and I felt an uncomfortable stiffness all over my body. Fortunately, he stepped back soon. How's your drinking capacity, Junior? He asked me with great interest, propping his right cheek with one hand. Average. I don't drink much. Daniel gave a soft laugh. It doesn't matter. Your drinking capacity will improve if you drink more. I twitched the corners of my lips and didn't respond. The phone in my pocket vibrated. I took it out and glanced at it. It was a call from Henry. After answering, he asked me where I was and when I would go back. I said a few words briefly and hung up the phone. Daniel handed me the cocktail I ordered. Thank you. A call from your boyfriend? Daniel asked curiously. I frowned and looked at him, my tone becoming a bit colder. A roommate. Oh. He let out a laugh and drank his wine without saying anything more. That half-smiling look in his eyes made me feel a bit uncomfortable. I suppressed the discomfort and thought about leaving after staying a little longer. After taking a few sips of the wine, my body became even hotter. I knew my alcohol tolerance well, and the cocktail I ordered just now was of a low alcohol content. Why am I so dizzy? I gasped slightly and tried to get up while propping my body, but my limbs went weak and I fell directly. The whole world was spinning. But a big hand grabbed my waist and a man's delighted voice sounded in my ear. Sure enough, the junior can't hold his liquor. He's drunk so quickly. I was completely weak and unbearably hot. The glaring halos blurred in my moist eyes. A broad and slightly rough hand was roaming over my body. My already hot body seemed to be set on fire again. Don't touch me. I struggled hoarsely. Daniel easily grabbed my hands and made me unable to move. Junior, the first time I saw you, I knew you were the same kind of person as me. The gentle-looking man turned into a beast who removed his mask of kindness. He showed his true nature and played with the prey in his hands. I crawled out weakly, but he grabbed my ankle and pulled me back. A sense of despair enveloped me like a dark cloud, and a sudden ringtone sounded in the room. I was like a drowning man grasping at the last straw, reaching out with all my remaining strength towards the source of the ringtone. Henry. The next second, the ringtone stopped abruptly. My heart sank completely. Daniel grabbed my hand and tore open my clothes, saying excitedly, "Don't worry. No one can disturb us tonight. Baby, you've never tasted a man before. I guarantee you'll love it." My fingers weakly clutched the edge of the bed, and tears welled up in the corners of my eyes. Just as my consciousness was about to fade into chaos, a rapid knock on the door sounded. Along with curses, the weight on top of me suddenly lightened. I heard the sound of something being knocked down and falling to the ground by my ear, and the sickening thud of fists hitting flesh. I half opened my blank eyes and focused my gaze on the figure not far away, who was wildly pinning someone to the ground and beating them. Henry? The figure suddenly froze, then threw the person in his hand aside like a rag and strode towards me. The familiar scent completely enveloped me. Henry buried his face in my neck and said tremblingly, "It's me. Michael, it's me." I was soaked all over as if I'd just been fished out of the water. The long-suppressed drug effect was driving me crazy. The wave of lust came crashing down like a flood breaking through a dam. I rubbed against him aimlessly. "Henry, I feel so bad. Don't be afraid. I'll take you to the hospital." He picked me up and strode outside. I rubbed against his neck and sobbed softly, "It hurts." Hold on a little longer. We'll be there soon. I shook my head, with sweat and tears covering my face. Help me. Henry. Please help me. When I woke up, I stared blankly at the messy room for quite a while. The events of last night fragmented into pieces and rushed into my mind. Daniel put drugs in my drink. Later, Henry burst in and saved me. Immediately afterwards, the chaotic and shameful scenes of last night made my face turn slightly pale. Tortured by the drug, I shamelessly clung to Henry. However, even though I begged him so desperately and without dignity, he didn't take me. Instead, he helped me relieve the pain in other ways. Embarrassed, I covered my face and didn't dare to look at the person lying beside me. I dragged my weak body out of bed, picked up the clothes scattered on the floor, and put them on. However, before I could leave, there came a rustling sound from behind. My body stiffened. After a few seconds' pause, I turned around and locked eyes with Henry, who was lying on the bed with his upper body bare. Henry's hoarse voice broke the silence first. Last night, Thank you for saving me last night, I said calmly. I didn't expect that guy to be such a scumbag. It was my fault for being so careless. Henry's face suddenly darkened. Obviously, he also remembered what had happened last night. I'm going to the hospital later to check for drug residues. You go back to school first. I'll go with you. Henry got out of bed, strode towards me, and grabbed my wrist. My eyes fell on his naked body. I quickly averted my gaze and said awkwardly, "Put on your clothes first. I'll wait for you outside." After escaping from the room, I leaned against the wall, feeling my cheeks burning. We went to the hospital to have my blood drawn for testing. After getting the test report, we went straight to the police station to report the case. On the way back, I was a little worried. I wonder how that scumbag is doing now. Will he bite you back and sue you for intentional injury? Henry raised his eyebrows, showing no sign of worry. Instead, he answered off topic, "Are you worried about me?" I felt a little uncomfortable under his gaze. You got involved in this because of me. Isn't it normal for me to worry? Henry hooked his lips and reached out to ruffle my hair. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. After we got back to the dormitory, James and Hudson were both there. Where did you two go last night? You didn't come back all night. I told them what had happened yesterday. Hudson looked ugly and gritted his teeth. How dare he touch my brother? I'll cripple him. James beside him frowned and asked, "What's that guy's name?" Daniel. I have a bit of an impression of this guy. Wait a minute. James made a phone call and then came back. I have a friend who is in that guy's dorm. He said this guy is a habitual offender. He uses the despicable means of luring and drugging people to take them to hotels and rape them while they're unconscious. Then he uses the videos to blackmail the victims. The victims are all boys. Most of them don't want to make a big deal out of it, so it just ends like that. That guy often posts the videos in groups to show off. I asked my friend to send me a copy of the message records and videos in the group. Now that we've got all the evidence, we must definitely send this guy to jail. Submit the evidence to the police and the school leaders and let them handle it. It'd be even better if there are victims willing to testify during this period. A hint of fierceness flashed across Henry's face. This kind of scumbag must not be allowed to continue committing crimes freely. James nodded and said coldly, with both witnesses and physical evidence, just the crimes of indecent assault and spreading pornographic materials are enough for him to suffer. Looking at my roommates who were all standing up for me, I felt a warm feeling in my heart. Guys, thanks. Hudson put his arm around me and said righteously, "We're all brothers. What's there to thank for?" After saying that, he looked stunned and his eyes swept between me and Henry. Hey, why are both of your necks red? My heart skipped a beat and I looked at Henry's face, but saw him staring blankly at my neck with his head down. Hudson squinted his eyes on the side. You two last night, you should at least find a good hotel. Look at how many mosquito bites you've got on your bodies. The heart that had been raised dropped back into my stomach. The sound of water in the bathroom covered my movements. I closed my eyes and my breathing was a bit rapid. All I could think about was that person. That night, my back was pressed against his chest and his strong arms trapped me tightly. We were like vines growing wantonly, tightly entangled with each other. The blazing fire seemed to completely devour me, along with the pattering sound of water. I raised my head and my muscles trembled uncontrollably. It was as if the surrounding had gone silent and my mind was completely blank. My chest heaved up and down as I tried hard to calm my breathing. However, the sudden anxious voice outside the bathroom caught me off guard. Michael, I'm coming in. I suddenly opened my eyes and my mind instantly cleared up. The lock on the bathroom door was broken. If Henry barged in, then this state I'm in now. My head was buzzing. In a hurry, I directly rushed over to block the door. As a result, I slipped on the soles of my feet and fell flat on my butt. At the same time, the bathroom door was pushed open from the outside. I closed my eyes in despair. I called you many times just now, but you didn't answer me. I was afraid something had happened to you, so I rushed in. Henry explained hoarsely. I buried my face in the pillow and didn't answer him. What could I say? Say that I was so absorbed just now that I didn't hear his voice? I've never been so embarrassed in my life. A hand rested on the small of my back. Henry whispered, "Did you hurt yourself when you fell? Let me take a look." I blushed and looked up at him angrily. "I don't need you." Henry lowered his eyes to hide his smile and coaxed, "Be good. Don't be angry. Let me take a look." Then he grabbed my struggling hand and pulled down my shorts. The numb and hot buttocks trembled involuntarily when exposed to the air. Henry's hoarse voice came from above my head. "It's swollen from the fall." When Henry applied ice to me, I turned my head away from him the whole time. The atmosphere was awkward and stagnant. Suddenly, Henry said, "Is it possible that the effects of the medicine from that night haven't completely worn off?" I took a deep breath and my head was dizzy. 3 days have passed since that night. 3 days. Such words that were trying to cover up the truth and offer me an excuse made me even more ashamed to face him. I dug my fingers into the pillow and gritted my teeth. If he hadn't walked around in front of me half naked after taking a shower tonight, would I have had such impure thoughts? Since that accident, Henry seems to have cast a spell on me. Not only do I dream about him all the time, even when I usually see him looking up to drink water or doing push-ups in the dormitory, my body heats up uncontrollably. I finally face my own desires. I'm gay. I like Henry. But he's straight. Even if I stand in front of him naked, he won't be moved. A surge of sourness wells up in my heart. What's the use of my liking him anyway? He'll probably find me disgusting if he knows about this kind of alternative love. I avoided Henry all day, but I couldn't avoid him anymore at night. Henry waved to me. "Come here, I'll help you apply the medicine." I walked straight out of the bathroom, wiping my dripping hair, and refused aloud, "No need." Henry frowned slightly and blocked my way. "What are you being so awkward about?" I averted my eyes and said sullenly, "I'll apply it myself later." "Can you reach the place by yourself?" "It's none of your business." I climbed onto my bed and pulled the curtain. It was not until I was about to apply the medicine that I realized. The posture for applying the medicine by myself is really something. Fortunately, there is a curtain blocking. I endured the shame and groped to apply the ointment. The bed shook slightly. Before I could react, a figure quickly got in. When our eyes met his fiery ones, I quickly withdrew my hand and said angrily, "Who let you come up?" Henry's eyes darkened slightly and his voice became hoarse. "There's no part of your body I haven't seen." He reached out and pulled me over, then squeezed the ointment into his palm and rubbed it. "Lie still. Cry out if it hurts." My face stiffened. No, this statement doesn't sound right. However, the next second, my scalp went numb. I suddenly grabbed his forearm and trembled. "It hurts." "Be gentle." The hand on my buttocks paused. Henry's hoarse and somewhat obscure voice crept into my ears. "Be good. Rubbing it out will make the bruise disperse faster." What's wrong with him? Then what's the point of telling me to cry out if it hurts? I didn't expect that just applying the medicine would make me break out in a sweat. The soft flesh on my buttocks was rubbed hot by him. Finally, I couldn't help but plead, "Stop, Henry. Can we do it tomorrow? It's almost done. Endure it a little longer." Suddenly, the curtain was pulled open. Hudson stared at us with wide, open eyes. "What are you two doing in there? Would you believe if I said we were just applying medicine?" I glanced at the number tag on my body and the girls sitting opposite who were sizing me up from time to time. I looked at Hudson helplessly. What kind of dinner gathering is this? It's clearly a mixer. Hudson raised his eyebrows and whispered, "I heard the noise from your room when I got back to the dorm last night. It almost scared me to death. I thought our dorm was so starved that we resorted to homosexuality. But then again, you and Henry are young and energetic. Young guys are full of vigor. When a person has been single for a long time, even a monkey seems good looking. Moreover, you two are always together. No one knows what might happen one day. As your elder brother, I haven't done my job well. I should have taken you out to expand your social circles earlier. Then you two wouldn't have been single for so long." I said with a headache. "Hudson, I don't want to talk about this for now. How old are you? How long do you want to keep dragging it? It'll be even harder to find someone after you graduate and start working. Listen to your elder brother, it'll be right." Look at that girl in the pink dress over there. She's from the Chinese department. Isn't she cute? She seems to be a perfect match for you. Don't say your elder brother doesn't think about you. After saying that, Hudson winked at me and left. I sighed softly, but my eyes uncontrollably landed on Henry, who was surrounded by several girls not far away. Sure enough, he is always the most eye-catching one in the crowd, no matter when. I averted my gaze. My chest felt extremely stuffy. During that time, several girls tried to strike up a conversation with me, but I wasn't very interested. Glancing at the time, I sent a message to Hudson and then planned to leave. Classmate. A tall girl blocked my way. You look so young. As she said this, she couldn't help getting closer to me. Oh, your skin is even fairer than mine. How do you usually take care of it? I shook my head and said, I don't take care of it. I think it's mostly inherited from my mother. The other person was stunned for a moment, and then burst out laughing heartily. I didn't say a word. I didn't quite understand what was so funny to her. She picked up a pen from the table and directly wrote a series of numbers on my forearm. My name is Leo. Remember to contact me when you get back. After I turned around and walked out of the door, my eyes met Henry, who was leaning against the door smoking. I didn't quite understand what he was doing outside, leaving those girls behind. Showing off? I averted my eyes and walked past him towards the outside. You're quite popular. Someone who was smoking there suddenly spoke. I stopped and turned my head to look at him. His words were out of context. I didn't know what he meant. After waiting for a few seconds and not hearing him continue, I left him behind and walked directly towards the school. When I got back to the dormitory building, I realized that I didn't have my key. The dormitory door was closed, and James hadn't come back yet. I looked back at someone who had been silently following me all the way. I didn't bring my key. Hearing this, he took out the key from his trouser pocket and held it out to me. After opening the door, I walked in first and fumbled for the light switch on the wall. As the room brightened up, just as I was about to turn around, I was trapped by a wall of flesh right in front of me. You seemed to have a great time chatting with others just now. Why did you come back so early? Henry looked down at me, his sarcastic tone making me a bit annoyed. Aren't you the same? Well, none of those people caught your fancy? Henry looked grim and sneered. I'm not like someone who even brought back someone else's phone number. Is he on a rampage tonight? He's been picking fights all night. My patience has run out. I pushed him away with a cold face. Who I like is none of your business. Not to mention a phone number. Even if I bring someone back, you have no right to interfere. I was already in a bad mood, and then he came back and made those inexplicable sarcastic remarks. After I said those harsh words, I walked towards the balcony. I didn't want to be in the same space as him. I hadn't walked a few steps when I was grabbed by a force and pushed onto the bed. Henry grabbed my wrist and held it above my head with anger surging in his eyes. Michael, how dare you? Why wouldn't I dare? Henry, I've had enough of you. You always interfere with who I like. Do you like me? Henry looked stiff and his grip on my hand suddenly loosened. I simply decided to just let it all out. By now, there's no point in hiding it. Henry, I'm gay and I like you. Do you understand? I've had enough of you treating me like a brother while getting overly close to me without any boundaries. If you only see me as a brother, please stay away from me in the future. I've been trying so hard to keep my distance. What on earth are you doing now? Tears slid down uncontrollably and I awkwardly turned my face away. Don't you want to be just brothers? I wiped away my tears. Fine, don't worry. From now on, I definitely won't. A warm kiss with a faint smell of tobacco landed on my lips, swallowing the rest of my words. Don't you want to be just friends? I wiped away my tears. Fine, rest assured that from now on, I definitely won't. A warm kiss with a faint smell of tobacco landed on my lips, completely swallowing the rest of my words. Our lips were touching and my heart was pounding wildly in a hidden corner. I was so stunned by his kiss that I stared blankly at him. Did he kiss me? Did Henry kiss me? Isn't he straight? Then what does it mean when he kissed me? My mind is like rusted and can't process this excessive information. I don't know how long it had passed before Henry pulled away from my lips, his breath slightly ragged. Meeting my blank stare, he said helplessly, "You should close your eyes when kissing." I opened my mouth stupidly and asked, "Is this also something that good brothers do?" Henry let out a soft laugh and the smile on his lips widened. He brushed his fingertips across the corner of my lips, his gaze tender. Not good brothers, but lovers. Didn't you just say you're gay? The smile in his eyes was hard to hide. What a coincidence, so am I. Even more coincidentally, I also like you, Michael. Henry pinched my face discontentedly. What's that expression on your face? I hesitated and said, aren't you straight? As if thinking of something, I murmured, could it be that you're bisexual? Henry was both angry and amused. Gritting his teeth, he said, who told you I'm straight? I frowned slightly and asked, didn't you have a girlfriend in high school? High school. At the sports meeting in senior year, I saw a girl feeding you water. Henry frowned. After a long while, he asked, the one with twin braids? His eyes were fixed on me and then a smile bloomed in his eyes. You've been paying attention to me since then. I stiffened all over, feeling a flustered sense of guilt as if my secret had been exposed by the person involved. I argued, who pays attention to you? You were standing there like a peacock blocking my way. I'm not blind, so how could I not see you? The smile on Henry's face remained, and then he took out his phone from his pocket. After swiping for a moment, he held the phone in front of me. Idiot, she's my younger sister. I stared at the family photo on the phone. The girl being tugged at the braid by Henry was exactly the face in my memory. I stared blankly for a long time. So it was really my misunderstanding. Henry put away the phone and said calmly, I won't be able to date a girl in my life. Meeting his dark and focused eyes, my heart skipped a beat. Then I heard him say leisurely, after all, I fell in love with a boy in high school and I can't change my sexual orientation in this lifetime. My enthusiasm was like being splashed with a bucket of cold water. I lowered my head with my emotions a bit out of control. I couldn't suppress the sourness in my heart. Aren't you curious about who the boy I like is? I was holding back a grudge. I wanted to curse. Who cares about his teenage past? You're crazy. Henry curled his lips and started talking to himself. I first met him during the military training in senior high school. The sun was blazing at that time. During the break, I was thinking of going to buy a bottle of soda. I hadn't walked a few steps when the boy in front of me just collapsed right in front of me. I was so scared that I thought he was trying to extort money from me. I carried him on my back and sent him to the school infirmary. The school doctor said he had heat stroke. At that time, I was thinking, well, he's a boy after all. How could his physique be even worse than a girl's? Once he came to check the dormitory and directly confiscated my electric cooker. At that time, I tried to reason with him, but he didn't give me any face at all. He even asked me to write a self-criticism and hand it to the dormitory supervisor. I was so angry at that time. After all, I had saved him. This kid is repaying kindness with ingratitude. From that day on, I started to keep an eye on him. Who would have known that after watching him for so long, I couldn't take my eyes off him anymore? He gave a soft laugh and murmured, I don't know what kind of spell I've been under. I've seen that he mostly goes around alone. I really don't understand how a boy can be so quiet. Every time in the cafeteria, he always orders minced eggplant with meat at noon. Is this dish really that delicious? He's been eating it for a whole semester and still isn't bored with it. He's in class 1 and I'm in class 3. Our 2 classrooms are at opposite ends. Every time during the 10-minute break between classes, I deliberately walk around the corridor. It's a pity that someone is either sleeping or flirting with his deskmate. In the last sports meeting of senior high school, I saw his name on the registration form for the long-distance running event. With his poor physique, how did he have the guts to sign up for the 3,000-meter long-distance race? On the day of the sports meeting, when he was participating in the long-distance race, I was doing the high jump. I only rushed over after finishing my competition in a hurry. From a distance, I saw his limping figure on the track. Later, after asking around, I found out that someone had crossed the track and bumped into him. At that time, I wished I could just run over and carry him away. His knee was hurt like that and he was still running. Didn't he want his legs anymore? But in the end, I still endured my temper and waited at the finish line. When he crossed the finish line, I caught him. At that time, I was thinking that although this guy has a stubborn temper and doesn't know how to be flexible, once I held him tightly, I didn't want to let go. It's a pity that a certain fool never knew. In the second half of senior high school, the study tasks were very heavy. When I went out to get some fresh air and passed by someone's window, I heard him telling the girl at his desk that he wanted to apply for H University. From that day on, H University became my goal because I wanted to share the same future with him. I'm a coward. I've watched over him for so long, but I didn't dare to confess my love. When Henry's fingertips gently brushed across my cheek, I realized that I was crying. In my life, I've never cried so uncontrollably before. Henry is the culprit. With red, rimmed eyes, I reached out and put my arms around his neck and actively kissed his lips. As our lips intertwined, I tasted the warm and salty taste of tears. Our breaths collided and our throbbing hearts overlapped as we embraced. Henry held my face and deepened the kiss without giving me a chance to resist. "Hey, you two, why did you run off so quickly?" Hudson walked into the dormitory with a gloomy face and started scolding right away. "I worked so hard to organize this gathering. Can you two be more reliable?" I poked my head out from behind the curtain, my face flushed, and said, "Hudson, don't invite me to this kind of activity in the future." Hudson frowned and was about to say something. A hot breath brushed past my earlobe. Henry rested his chin on my shoulder and said slowly, "Include me too." The air fell silent for several seconds. Hudson stared at us in shock and even his voice faltered. "You two, this is..." Henry hooked his finger under my chin, leaned in and kissed my lips and said lazily in a tired voice, "This person is mine." After James came back, Hudson seemed to have found someone to vent his feelings on. I said it before. Sooner or later, something would go wrong if they stayed together for too long. Look, my words have come true. Hudson grabbed James's shoulders and shook him vigorously. Now, there are only the two of us left in the dormitory. James beside him stared at him expressionlessly. Hudson was greatly shocked. He withdrew his hand in disbelief. "Wait, don't tell me you're also gay?" James gave him a disdainful look and scolded, "Idiot. Hey, why are you scolding me?" James shook him off and walked towards the balcony. Hudson pestered him relentlessly. "Come on, buddy, tell me. Are you straight or gay?" In our senior year, Henry and I started a business together. We rented a duplex apartment to live together. In the first 2 years, we were so exhausted that we could hardly catch our breath. Fortunately, our efforts paid off. Our business gradually got on the right track. As early as the year when we confirmed our relationship, I confessed my sexual orientation to my mother. Even now, I can still remember the shocked and disappointed look in her eyes at that time. I'm sorry for her. After my father, I've become another person who disappoints her. I know I'm very selfish. But in this lifetime, I only want to be Henry's lover, not a husband to some girl. I'm destined not to follow her expectations and go down the path of getting married and having children like the majority. I bet that I can walk through this journey of life hand in hand with Henry. But at the same time, the guilt towards my mother will be like a broken needle buried in my flesh, pricking me from time to time. It took my mother nearly a year to accept my relationship with Henry. But I know she just doesn't want to lose me. She loves me, so she compromised. It was almost the end of the year then. She called me and asked me to go home at night. When hanging up the phone, she mentioned Henry's name. To gain my mother's favor, Henry had been practicing cooking for a long time before, saying that he wanted to show off his cooking in front of my mother. Finally, he got the chance. After entering the house, he rolled up his sleeves and went straight to the kitchen. It really stunned my mother. My mother later told me that she originally wanted to give him a hard time, but he just buried himself in the kitchen to do the work, which completely disrupted her plan. That night, my mother talked to me a lot. Looking at her graying temples, my guilt reached its peak at that moment. My parents divorced when I was 12 years old. I chose to stay with my mother. The family conditions were not very good when I was a child, but my mother still worked hard to earn money to support me through college. She is a competent mother. But I'm not a qualified son. When I left that night, my mother only said one thing to me. Live a good life. You will always be your mother's pride. On the way back that night, I cried for a long time. Henry held me silently. It was not until I was too tired from crying that his low, hoarse voice came from above my head. He said, "Michael, I won't let you lose." These days, both work and life have been going quite smoothly. But I always have a nagging feeling about something. In the middle of the night, I still tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. Unable to hold it back, I took out my phone and once again sought help from netizens. I've been with my boyfriend for over 3 years, but every time we get to the last step, he suddenly stops. What should I do? I'm a guy. At 2 o'clock in the morning, a bunch of night owl netizens popped up one after another. Next time, ask him in front of his face, "Are you impotent?" If he can't do it, then it's your turn. Break up. If this one doesn't work, find the next one. Maybe he lacks experience in this aspect. It is recommended to find some time to learn with your boyfriend. See if he has any psychological barriers in this regard. It's better to communicate about this face to face. As I was engrossed in swiping through the comments, an arm suddenly pulled me over. A hoarse voice sounded beside my ear. "What are you looking at?" I nervously locked the screen and shook my head, saying, "It's okay. I just can't sleep and am swiping my phone. He buried his face in my neck and rubbed unconsciously, saying, "Go to sleep. Don't stay up late." The next day when I woke up, I stretched. I picked up my phone and saw that it was already 9 o'clock in the morning. Usually, I set an alarm for 8 o'clock. Why didn't it ring today? Could it be that Henry turned it off for me? I swiped open my phone, and the top-rated comment on the post I made last night was the one suggesting that I ask Henry if he was impotent. Just as I was about to scroll down, my hand suddenly froze. Wait a minute. When Henry turned off the alarm for me this morning, wouldn't he have seen it? There's no password on my phone. You can unlock it by just swiping the screen. Just as I was lost in wild thoughts, Henry called from outside the room, "Come down for breakfast." At the dining table, looking at a plate of sliced pineapples, I was a bit puzzled and asked, "Why are we having fruits so early in the morning?" Henry said quietly, "Some things need to be prepared in advance." What? I swallowed the bread in my mouth in a daze. "Michael, let's go and get our marriage certificate." I was caught off guard and choked. Henry handed me the milk. I took a sip and asked in confusion, "Why is it so sudden?" A few months ago, we had already obtained our visas and submitted an online application for marriage registration. We originally planned to go there at the end of next month. I don't know why Henry suddenly changed the date. He leaned over and wiped the milk stain from the corner of my lips, his eyes darkening slightly as he said, "I can't wait any longer." My cheeks flushed red and I stammered as I nodded, "Then let's go." It wasn't until the night when I officially became Henry's legal husband that I finally understood what he meant by "can't wait." In the hotel suite, I leaned against Henry and stared at the silver ring on my hand. "You tell me which one of us should be called husband and which one wife, or should we both be called husband?" The person beside me didn't respond for a long time. I turned my head in confusion and saw him looking down at his phone. I leaned over, a bit dissatisfied, and saw the interface of the post I had made yesterday. Henry was replying to the netizens in the comments section one by one. There was a comment that said, "He's no good. Come be with me." Henry calmly posted a photo of the two of us with our fingers intertwined, wearing silver rings. Then he commented, "You don't have a chance." I nervously swallowed my saliva. The comments in this section are all just for fun. Don't take them seriously. Henry locked his phone and casually tossed it aside. Then he patted my butt and said, "Be good and go take a shower." I was most afraid of him acting like this. It was as if he was up to no good. Soon I found out. I'm not wearing this. Staring at the high-waisted, side-split chongsam in my hand, I refused with a flushed face. "Don't you like it?" Henry looked a bit disappointed and murmured to himself, "I brought other ones, but I like this one the most." His fingertips traced the small of my back as he said hoarsely, "The design here is an open back." My waist went weak and I gritted my teeth and said, "You're dreaming." Half an hour later, Henry managed to dress me in it as he wished. I curled up on the bed in shame, my ears completely red. Henry had his knee propped on the edge of the bed and his hot, predatory gaze was fixed on me as if it were tangible. "Do you want to know what I'm thinking right now?" I angrily threw a pillow at him and shouted, "No." Henry let out a soft laugh, grabbed my ankle, and leaned over me. "Anyway, you'll know soon enough." Every inch of my skin burned. When I opened my eyes, Henry was still asleep beside me. Every move made my body ache and go numb. I remembered someone's naughty behavior last night. I angrily reached out and pinched his nose to take revenge. Someone frowned slightly and opened his sleepy eyes. "Stop fooling around." With that, he groped with his arm and pulled me into his arms. I gave a soft snort and let go of my hand. Looking at his messy hair, I couldn't hold back the curve of my lips. The light outside the house filtered through the curtains and the dancing golden light shone on his eyebrows and eyes. I traced his outline carefully. After all these years, the man in front of me still makes my heart flutter countless times. Along with the cicadas chirping in summer, the young boy in his school uniform leaned against the railing, smiling brightly. I walked downstairs with my head down. When I passed by him, I couldn't help but turn back to look at him. Then, I unexpectedly crashed into those shining eyes. In my dull and boring youth, I fell in love with a boy. And now, I will join hands with him and head towards our future together.